welcome back to my channel. Good morning, vlogsters. Look, I got Jimmy's wolf cup. He shared. Cheesy grin. It's still hot. Good. Oh, vlogsters. I'm very disappointed in myself. I'm going to try really not to... I'm going to try really hard not to cry. First, I want to apologize for the words because I'm exhausted. Let me just take a sip. Hopefully, we'll have some rectification soon, but I will tell you everything that happened yesterday. I'm going to go backwards, though. So, I couldn't successfully complete both MRIs. And because the MRI technician had merged them into one long MRI that was supposed to last 2 hours, I didn't actually even complete one in the hour that I was there because she had to cancel it because I had to. I was in so much pain. I did tell everybody, and truth is, I fit in the machine fine. I was underweight. I fit in the machine great. I got the cage on and no problem, and everything was going really, really well. So she had asked me at one point when she was adjusting me, she said, "Can I put this pillow under your heel? Can I lift your leg up and put the pillow under your heel?" And it was just like she's got these foam pieces, you know. And when I first laid there, I first laid down, I got adjusted on my back. It felt like my butt was supposed to go in this groove because there was like this ridge across the top that was kind of going like against my coccyx a little bit, like at the top of my butt crack kind of situation. And I was like, "Do I need to scoot down?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "This, you know, well, it's fine here, whatever." And I said, "Okay," because I feel this thing going across my butt. And she goes, "Well, we have these foam pieces that we can put in wherever we need to make you more comfortable." I said, "Okay." So she put it under my heel and she lifted my leg and she said, "Is this fine?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." And it was fine. It was fine. But then after a while, my knee felt like it started to like flex down, like because my foot was elevated. It didn't have anything to support my knee. It didn't feel like that at first, but it definitely felt like that after a while. And when I said that to her at the end, she goes, "No, it's laying on the table." But obviously it's not laying on the table because obviously I could feel it. But if it is actually touching the table like she thought it was, that means, because my heel is up, that means it's hyperflexed down. Like, to me, it's just like, I can't lift my heel without lifting my knee. I don't know. It just seems weird. So anyway, I didn't realize I was there for a whole hour. I went in feet first. So the MRI itself was fine. I didn't have any problems. The table was okay. Like, the table was comfortable. I fit. The noise wasn't bad. She gave me headphones to listen to music. The music was kind of low, and I asked for Christian music, and she gave me a Christian radio station on iHeart Music that was doing a fundraiser. So I was there for an hour, and I heard 2 songs. But that's okay. Obviously, a no complaint. It just was funny, you know. So I was like, next time I'm going to be like, something without commercials. I don't care what it is, as long as it has no commercials. So I was watching, because I'm in backwards, I could see this timer go across the top. And it was like 7 minutes, then it was a 4-minute timer, then it was a 6-minute timer. And I guess that was just like how long it has to take each picture. So when it started to become painful, I stopped it between timers and I just asked her, I said, "Is it too late to put, like, would we ruin everything if we put something under my knee?"
This is a reminder. Take my meds.
I did already.
This is a reminder. Take my meds.
So I said, "Would it be too late to put something under my knee?" And she said, "Yeah, we really can't move you at all." And I was like, "Okay." So she put me back in. I said, "Could you make the radio louder?" I was wondering if maybe the radio was louder. I could focus out of the pain. But the pain just got more and more intense. And my back started to bother me the night before last. But I know what it is. I hate the TMI stuff, guys, but I really feel like I have to share this with you. If my if I'm having issues going to the toilet, like if I am having BM issues, then it always puts pressure on my like right kidney. That's the only way I could describe it. That kidney area. I don't know that's actually putting pressure on my kidney, but that kidney area, like the top of my right hip. And now that's always been. So this is that same pain. It's sort of like it was sort of like when I used to get back cramps. Back cramps would do like the same thing. It would hurt like just at that kidney area, just like that lower back. Excuse me. I'm sorry that I do that, but I have to do that. It just happens. It just my nose starts to drain and I'm in the middle of talking and I just do it subconsciously because I need to breathe, and I apologize if it really disgusts you. I really do. However, if we were sitting here having a real coffee cup chat in real life, in person, I would be doing it anyway. So love me or leave me kind of thing, you know? All right. So I knew that was what was bothering my back. But let's go backwards in the day. When I got out of the van, I said to Jimmy, can you go get a bariatric chair? And he comes out with a chair. He goes, I hope this one's good enough. It's the only one she's got. And I was like, baby, is it a bariatric chair? And he goes back in. I said, please I'll wait here. I will wait here. I'll be late for my appointment. I need like a bariatric chair. So now if you don't know that there's different size wheelchairs, if you're not a plus size person, or if you're new to being plus size, that's another thing. If you're new to being plus size, they are bariatric wheelchairs. They're wider and they hold more weight. They're more supportive. So now I am within the weight limits of most wheelchairs, like standard wheelchairs, but like with my commode, if it puts pressure on my hip, like I could fit between the arms, but it will hurt way more than it will help. Like I would be better off walking with the walker than sitting in this chair for too long if it didn't fit. So he gets this chair and it does hold plus size people. I didn't know the feet went up because it's just not a chair that I've ever recognized. But it almost looks like a dining room chair with feet in front of it. So I go to get on it. I don't know how I'm getting on it. The arms lift up. I go to sit on it like sideways and I can't really pivot because I don't have the strength or the place to put my feet the right way. So I finally get on it. But the chair is the seat is very narrow. Now it does support me and the arms come down and I am held in. And this particular chair, when you squeeze the handle, it goes kind of like a lawnmower. And when you let go, it stops. So Jimmy kept let going and stopping short, and that was just not pleasant. And he didn't do it on purpose. He just never used this wheelchair before. And it doesn't have big wheels that I can help, because if I can help with the forward momentum, he doesn't have so much pressure of pushing. So it was, needless to say, not easy. Now, it was very painful after just a few minutes. Now, I told you guys, I am up to sitting up in the bed or in the commode for at least 5 solid minutes. I still can't sit up in bed. The leg just hurts sitting up in bed. But the commode or the bed I can sit on for I'm up to actually it's over 5 minutes, but I'm up to I'm counting it as 5 minutes. So I was like, okay, how long will it take me to get from here to the place where I can lay down? We have to register. And I totally am so disappointed in myself that I forgot to pre-register. Basically, you check in online the day before and you fill out all the paperwork, and you don't have to do anything when you get there except go to your appointment. So we get there and we have to fill out the paperwork, but Jimmy forgot glasses, so he ran back out and he filled it out for me because I couldn't lay down and do it. I got the same bench, because the x-ray and the MRI are in the same office or same suite. So I was able to just lay down on that same bench where I waited for the x-ray technician last week. And getting back onto the chair, getting onto the bed was horrific. Getting back onto the chair was horrific because this chair is so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. So she wheels me to the back and she starts asking me, now I guess it's her job. I'm not it's nothing against her. She was so sweet. Sherry, thank you so much for all of your patience and kindness and attention. But she had to ask me like the same questions Jimmy just answered on the intake. And she was like, I'll finish the paperwork in there. I'm like, well, he finished it. He was just signing it. So I was like, we're good. But she started to ask me all these same questions again. And I know she has to. However, at this point, I am crying. The pain is so bad. This chair is so uncomfortable. I'm not upset with my husband advocating for me because he's still learning. He's never had to advocate for anybody, including himself before. Like, he's never really advocated for himself before. But he's learning. We're both learning, but he's learning to advocate for me. And one of the things we talked about next time is like, I'm going to call ahead of time. I'm going to say, I need a bariatric chair. It has to be a wide one, not just a supportive one, at the back door when I get there, please, because I can't do that anymore. So I did. The one bonus about this chair, and it really didn't make it better, but it made it different than the other one, is I could kind of lean off the hip. It didn't really make it that much better, but it improved it for a second, sort of situation. Like, so I'd lean this way and it would improve it for a second, and then I could bear, and then it would hurt again. So I don't know. I like to look for silver linings. I do. I like to look for silver linings. So that's what I did. Sorry again. So we're waiting there, and she's like, she gives me here, your husband said you need glasses. I don't need my glasses. Put them on the counter. I just need to get out of this chair. And I said to her, she's like, is there anything I could do for you? I'm like, get me on the bed. And she's like, I have to set it up first. And I'm like, okay. So she leaves me in like the intake room. She's on the other side of the door in the MRI room. And I am wailing. I am praying. And I am cursing, and I will tell you why I cursed in a second. And I was praying out loud, singing hymns that I was making up, that Jesus, please help me, take this pain away, give me patience. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, help me. And I'm like loud, and she comes in the room and she's like, can I do something for you? I'm like, I just need to get out of this chair. So she's like, okay, I'm hurrying up. So she said, I need to get you out of this chair that you're in and put you in the chair that we can use. Apparently there's a special chair that's not steel that they use in the MRI room, because the MRI is a giant magnet. Well, I broke that chair on the way out. I think it's okay. I think I just disassembled something, but So she took me out in the hallway. She got me into the chair. She was very nervous. And I was like, my left leg works great. I just can't put weight on my right leg and my hip. So I was like, just push me closer, and I pivoted in the chair, and she's like, oh, good. Okay. So, and same thing getting on the MRI. Now the MRI bed was lit like, oh, sorry, itchy nose. The MRI bed was narrow. It's not this narrow, but the MRI bed was narrow. Now, I think that something I'm not sure that I ever shared with you guys, or I haven't shared in a very, very long time, was until I was 18, or actually from about the time of, I can't remember when it started. So like 5, maybe when I started school, maybe at like 6, till the time I was 18, I slept on a couch in the living room. And there was a couple of years when I was like 13, 14, 15, around there, where my sister and I the couch had 2 single pull-out beds that we got from my Uncle Louie. So like we had actual like beds, like, but for the whole rest of the time I slept on a couch. Now that being said, that's why I'm able to even turn in bed without disturbing Jim. That's why I'm able to like turn into tight places. And that's why when I go to like, if when Lisa had like a smaller bed, I slept on her couch. When I go to Eden's and I slept over Eden, so at 7 weeks watching Luna, I slept on her couch. Because couches are comfortable to me. That's me. And that's why the lady's like, are you claustrophobic? I'm like, no, I actually like a tight little space, So, it was easy for me to turn, but she was very nervous because I know my center of gravity. Obviously, I'm in my body, but she had no idea. Like Jimmy will say here, he's like, your ass is, excuse me. He's like, your butt is hanging off the bed. I'm like, yeah, but I'm good. I'm on it. Trust me, I'm on it. or if my belly hangs over, like if I go all the way to like pick something off the floor, he thinks I'm going to fall off the bed. And I'm like, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. So anyway, so she was kind of nervous, and I was like, if I could just have, she had a sheet folded in half right down the middle. And I said, do you have, can we open this sheet? She said, we could. She's like, what's the matter? I said, well, no, because if I lay on my side, which I'm going to lay on my side, and I go to roll over, taking the sheet with me would be easier than trying to move on top of the sheet. If that makes sense to you guys, like if I could just take the sheet with me. And she's like, oh yeah. So she put another sheet on top that I could take with me if I needed to. I didn't have to worry about the positioning of that sheet. She opened it fully. So that worked out well. I had a pillow. I was very comfortable. She gave me earplugs plus headphones to listen to music. I had my arms over my head. She's like, you could put your arms down. I'm like, no, actually, this is the most comfortable position. So I was like, arms over my head. I was so like ready. I was so excited that I fit. I was so comfortable. She got the whole thing positioned. I was ready to go. And then the pain kicked back in. Now, there is definitely, I've told you guys this before when I reposition. So when I reposition, there's definitely that first few minutes of, And when I got on the bed or out of the wheelchair, I said to her, can I just have 1 minute to just like relax for a second? She's like, sure, take whatever time you need. Probably thinking to herself, the poor thing, like, yeah, hurry up though, because I got appointments after you. But I said, could I just have a minute? And I felt bad. She felt really bad for me. Like I was in a lot of pain, and I stopped it and I started again. And then I kind of am disappointed in myself because first of all, I didn't ask the right questions. I didn't advocate for myself properly. And then I failed like my test. That's the way I'm looking at it. I know I'm not beating myself up. I'm not guilty. I'm not feeling shame. I'm just disappointed in myself. What I should have done, and I was thinking about it right after the fact, is I should have said, how close are we to finishing one test? Because if we were like, could have done just one test, the next time I would just have to come back and do the other test, like the other MRI. So I didn't ask her that. I just said, how much longer? And she said, we have like another hour to go plus or whatever. And I said, well, I can't anymore. I can't do this anymore. I said, it hurts way too much. So then she mentioned like I should go to the big hospital where they can sedate me and they can get it done. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can't travel to the big hospital because I have to laying down in the back of my van, and I'm not getting on the interstate or on a highway and like traveling 100 miles and then laying down in the back of this van. It's not safe. So secondly, I don't need sedation. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't benefit from sedation, but to me, sedation's for like people who are claustrophobic or nervous or can't sit still. I didn't have any of those problems. The first time I did ask her for like sticking the wedgies, it was not only just that it was hurting, I'll be honest with you, but my foot started to twitch because of the pain. And I have to hold still. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my foot is twitching because it's starting to hurt. It didn't hurt so bad in the beginning that it was like unbearable bad, but my foot wouldn't stop moving. And then it got to the point where my leg, like my thigh, started to twitch. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to ruin this MRI after all this, But I didn't ask that question. I should have asked that question because we could have really it was when I got out, Jimmy was like, you were in there for an hour and a half. I was like, no, I wasn't. What time is it? He goes, it's 2:00. I was like, no, I was in there for an hour though. And how I had known I was that close, the hour was supposed to be, each one was supposed to be an hour. I would have just said, hey, how close are we to finishing one? And oddly enough, she started with my femur, and the femur is the one that the doctor wants the most. After all of that about having the contrast, non-contrast with the thing on my knee, which is funny because obviously the femur is possibly fractured by the knee, in the knee area, but the knee is what hurts the most sort of thing now. So I actually said this to Lisa. Yes, I don't know that I even updated with you guys with all this. So I'm going to try to keep coming back. I wanted to come back to the cursing. I actually read a study, and I always thought it was just me and my family, but I actually read a study that there is something about cursing that affects pain receptors. I didn't know that. We always did it when you bang your toe and you scream the F curse or S curse, or even damn, even that, like some people call that cussing, but when you scream the curse or you hit, you curse out loud, then it does help with pain receptors. I don't know if it releases endorphins or something like that, but I was like, all right, cool study. I'm not losing my mind. I always thought it helped. So that's why I was in there cursing, and I was like, just like dragging the F curse out in song. It's just the only way I could think of doing it. But it was so painful. It was so painful. So I'm mad at myself that I didn't ask her, hey, when she came back in, I was like, hey, we almost done with the first thing. Maybe I can come back for the second. I don't know that she could have stopped it in the middle, because then when I thought she might have had the first one completely done, because she combined them, she had to cancel out the whole thing. So it didn't save any images, which is stupid and sucks. Sorry. Hate to use that word right now, but that's stupid and that sucks, because that's an hour of their time and money wasted. Obviously not, because I think you're going to charge insurance anyway, but that's an hour of like you could have saved any, I don't feel like you couldn't have saved it. I don't know. If you guys are MRI technicians, somebody tell me in the comments why you can't just save the images that you've gotten so far and see if there's anything there that's usable. Okay, so I am crying at this point from the pain. She puts me in the chair. So now repositioning again. It's better for a second. Actually, when I laid on my side to get up, she was very nervous. I was like, no, I can get up really easily, except I need help sitting up. And my husband can't come in, and she's like, no. So she goes to help me. She goes, hold on to my elbow. I was like, honey, I will pull you down. I will, because I said, can I use, and I held out my hand, and she held out her hand. I said, could we do this? And that's the way Jimmy gets me up. So we do like wrist and wrist. It doesn't hurt anybody's hand as much. It's more of, uses more your arm than your hand. And it was like, she held me up like this, this, she wasn't a little girl. She wasn't a huge girl. She was just like average or whatever. So, and she sat me, I sat right up. I just really sometimes need a support, And I sat right up, and she put my shoes on for me because my feet were dangling, so I couldn't put my shoes on. And I pivoted right into the chair, and we start to go out, and I see Jim, and I said, Jim, I couldn't finish. I couldn't do it. You have to go get the car. She's going to take me out to the car. And he's like, the man has no concept of, I'm in pain, hurry up, I got to get out of this chair. Like, he doesn't. And I love him. Not a complaint. But he's meandering. I'm like, baby, hustle, please, because I really have to get into the back of the van. And I was like, and she's going to take me out, and she needs to bring her chair back and get back to her office or whatever. So he's like meandering. Good news is he was parked in the very first spot, like closest to the door. And he pulled in, and she's like, oh, he needs to turn around. I was like, no, I'm going into the back. And she goes on this side. I was like, no, into the trunk. I'm going into the trunk. So she's like, oh, the trunk. So as she's pulling me up to the trunk, he pulls up. She's pulling me up to the trunk. I feel something snap in the chair. I was like, oh, God, I just broke your chair. She's like, no, you didn't. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. So as he's pulling me up, and he's like taking his time, and she's trying to open the hatchback. She don't know how to do it. I don't have an automatic one, whatever. I feel a second snap. And I was like, he's trying to move my chair. And I'm like, just stop. Just let me get out I just jumped in and laid down, and I was fine. I mean, it hurt because there's tons of residual pain. It hurt, but it felt so good to just get off of my butt cheek. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how else to describe it. So I was very disappointed in myself. Then I started to think about my day. And this is why I went backwards. So Jim went to work. It was his first day at work, and he left at 5 o'clock. He got up at 5 o'clock. Actually got up at 10 to 5 yesterday to see if he'd have enough time to do everything. And he did. We did forget to have him empty my commode the night before. We both said we were going to remember and we didn't. But he got my waters, he got my coffee, he got himself dressed, got himself some breakfast, got all of his stuff together. Usually, like, the first day is a little different because you have all that stuff to put together. Like, he put on his hat, and I said, what's on your hat? Because he doesn't want me to put all the lights on in the morning, but I need the lights on. So I was like, what's on your hat? And he goes, what? And the tag was still on the hat. He hadn't said it. He was like, oh. I was like, I'm glad that even though I can't see, I can see. I could see like a silhouette of something, you know, it just didn't look right. Almost looked like he had like those propellers on the top of his hat. And I knew that wasn't the case. So he took the tag off. He did all that extra stuff to get to work. He went and he had a great day. And let me tell you something. He was supposed to get off at 11. He's so funny. So I texted him at 11:04. And I was like, did you leave yet? And he didn't answer. And then I called him at 11:05. And I was like, hi, I'm just checking to see if you are on your way or are you sitting in the van. I want to see how your day went. I want to tell you about something that happened. And he didn't answer. So, okay. 11:07. I checked the Find My iPhone app, like basically find a friend. And as a family, we could see where each other is. I said to him, I'm like, I don't care. I'm not spying on you. Hang out with your friends, whatever. But you don't have any friends, whatever it is. I was like, but I just want to find you if you fall off the cliff. You know, I just want to, that's my big concern always. And I know that that's a terrible thing to say and put out there, but that's my reasoning for it. If you ever go missing, I know where I can find you. So it also helps if you actually put your phone somewhere in the house you can't locate because it plays a sound. So I see Find My iPhone and he's still in the building. Like I could see that he's in the building, not on the street, in the building. So I do the Find My iPhone thing because it makes a noise. And I'm like, oh, he's not hearing me. Maybe he's not hearing. He has it like phone on silent. He can't hear me call and he can't hear me text. So I did the Find My iPhone thing because even if your phone's on silent, that will work. And it says it will play when it's connected. And I was like, that's weird. Because unless he has his phone off, but he wouldn't have his phone off because then he wouldn't be able to remember it's 11 o'clock. So I said, oh, that's really weird. So then I was like, let me FaceTime him. Because FaceTiming also, even if your phone's on silent, will make a really loud ring noise. So I go to FaceTime him and it doesn't connect. And I was like, oh, this is so weird. I hope he's okay. I look on the Find My iPhone thing and now he's on the street. And the street, he's going like this down the street. I was like, oh, okay. So basically, I reminded him that it was time to go. But afterwards, I realized why he was hesitant to go. Not only did he have a great day, but it was only him and one other lady working. And then he had to leave her by herself just when food service started at 11 o'clock. Which I felt bad because, you know, I mean, obviously I couldn't do anything about it. But, you know, it just makes me feel bad that I don't like to leave people high and dry like that. So I can imagine he didn't either. So he came home. And the reason I was trying to call him is because we had an issue. Yesterday, the night before last, I had a lot of trouble sleeping because I told you my back started bothering me because I had trouble. I haven't been able to poop. And today is Tuesday, last Thursday, maybe last Wednesday. I think it was last Thursday. It might have been last Wednesday. And that's putting pressure on my back. I think it's just like my colon is, or my back, you know, my bowels are swollen, full, and just pushing pressure on my back. So I had trouble on my back. I had trouble sleeping. I was doing like some stretching because stretching always helps, not always, often helps. Just to like get, first of all, movement helps. People who live sedentary lifestyles often have trouble going to the bathroom. That's why I always have to go to the bathroom when I go to the Dollar Tree, because I start walking around and my bowels are like, hey girl, you go. So I had trouble going, so I didn't really sleep well. I had gotten up at I got up at 12:30. Is that what happened? Was that the night? Yeah, the night before I had really good sleep. So that night I got up at 3:30 and I wasn't able to fall back to sleep. 2:30. I got up at 2:30 the night before last night. Couldn't able to fall back to sleep. I'm just getting confused with last night. That's why. And I tossed and turned, and I just couldn't get comfortable. And I had fallen back to sleep. Mom actually came in the night before to check on me and to let me know that she was going to do her regular routine. She gets up early, she has breakfast, and then she goes back to sleep. And she said, do you go back to sleep after Jim leaves? And I said, normally I don't, but there's no guarantees. But this is the first time. This is the first time we've done it. But normally, whatever time he's been getting up, at 6, at 5, whatever, I just stay awake. So I said, normally I don't, even if he gets up at 5, when he got up at 7, I just, the practice runs, I was like, no, I just stay awake normally. And I said, why? She's like, well, because I usually go back to sleep. She's like, but I'll text you when I'm awake. I was like, okay. So I did happen to fall back to sleep. I took my morning meds at 7, which is weird that I fell back to sleep after morning meds because they have all the vitamins that keep you going. So I took my morning meds, but they also have a pain medication in there. So that might have just been hey, some pain relief is coming and good night. So I fell back to sleep. I woke up at 9 a.m. and I looked at my phone and Mom wasn't awake yet. So I just got on I had to go potty. And as I'm just peeing, the bucket from the commode fell out onto the floor, splashed on me, poured all over the floor. It landed up, but it had splashed out so much because it was so full. And I didn't realize it was so full. I would have reminded him in the morning. We keep it covered for obvious reasons.